How is it going, everyone? Sean Ross here, and I'm here today to bring you guys my review on Tokyo Ghoul chapter 139, which was entitled He Laughs. Now, this chapter we got this week I think is a very solid chapter. It definitely progressed the plot forward for the Underground because we've been lacking the Underground these last couple of chapters because mainly we focused on the fight with Ure and Kurioa against Roma, Rio, and Furuta. And then with last chapter having that big ass reveal of Hide most likely returning into the story under the alias of Scarecrow, but honestly, nothing in this chapter was ever going to top that reveal of Hide coming back into the story unless this chapter ended up covering, Hide's past adventures leading from the end of Tokyo Ghoul Part 1 and how he ended up adopting the alias of Scarecrow, and then where he is right now presently within the world of Tokyo Ghoul Re. But going back to the Underground and having the three main fights that took place in this chapter, of course, the tease with Touka and what most likely will be Suzuya if we end up, continuing off with that next chapter, and then also having Mutsuki and Aura fighting Yomo, but then Zero Squad fighting Hajime and Ui in this chapter. So there's actually a lot that goes down, definitely moves the plot forward for the Underground, but it's not as big of like OMG moments than I guess last chapter had with Hide's reveal of being Scarecrow. Nothing was going to top that, but I'm really excited just to talk about the fights that went down in this chapter. I feel like it was very straightforward, kind of very simple, so I'll go over those three main parts, but I also want to go over the cover page that we got for this chapter, but then also that little map that kind of laid it out on the table like a demographic of where everyone currently is right now within all of the 24 wards. Very cool to have. So starting off right off the bat, let's talk about this cover page. I love the style and the design of this cover page. The way you have Hirako and Ui basically, backs facing each other, looking away to symbolize, they're both going in different directions. They're not really looking at each other the same way that they used to, but then having the shadow and the presence of Arima in the background, which it basically connects the two. Like the way that it's set up and designed, it connects both Ui and Hirako to each other, the fact that they were both in Zero Squad and were both subordinates under Arima. But the only funny thing I get from this cover page is the fact that Ui is smoking his cigarette and all of the smoke is just going into Arima's face and he's basically inhaling that secondhand smoke. I get a little chuckle from that, but other than that, it's the dialogue on the page I really like as well that goes into the overall design for this cover page, and it reads as, "Once they carried Zero atop their shoulders, yet after losing their head, that has all come to naught." Very straightforward, gets right to the point. It lets you know that right now they're on opposing sides and they don't really see eye to eye. I really do like that. But the next thing that I was not expecting at all in this chapter was the diagram and map that we kind of got in this chapter, which I think is very well needed because everyone right now is all over the place within these last few chapters. All the battles taking place, at CCG, down in the Underground. Kaneki is out during the scavenging squad, out in the forest gathering food. Everywhere you look, people are in different locations, and I don't think we got a map like this, I believe, since the auction raid. I could be wrong about that. We probably had one pop up here and there, but the last one in my mind right now, without going back and looking at past chapters, was the auction raid, where we actually had a map and diagram of where everyone was. The map, again, is very straightforward. You guys can read it for yourself to find out where everyone is, but there's one key of dialogue of information that is very crucial that we did not know about beforehand, which was the fight with Ure and Kurioa against Furuta in the main CCG office. That was 6 hours ago. That wasn't taking place parallel to the events in the Underground right now. So everything in the Underground is 6 hours ahead, or behind, I guess you could say, of Ure's fight. So Ure, the whole squad over there, with Marude, with Matsuri, and also Scarecrow. And I love the fact, too, in here that it kind of says someone who claims to be Hideyoshi Nagachika. It's a very nice little tease right there to basically say, is that Hide right there? But everyone right there basically has 6 hours until the whole Underground operation begins. So if it gets revealed that they end up popping up in the Underground, it would make sense because they have a lot of time to basically gather up their troops, gather up reinforcements, and if they do in fact end up heading towards the Underground to save Kaneki's, organization, that's going to be so awesome to see. So the 6 hour gap is very cool, and I'm really glad we got that information. But now it's time to dive into the main juice of this chapter, which basically goes into the fights that we kind of had in this chapter. And we start off with Yomo going up against Mutsuki and Aura. And again, it's very straightforward. Yomo is handling himself very well right now. He's very experienced in combat, and we know he's very well adept in combat because he's gone up against Arima, who, if you can hold your own against Arima and survive, and he's done that a few times already, you know Yomo can hold himself in a fight. And the fact that Mutsuki even recognizes his experience throughout this entire fight goes to show how powerful Yomo is as a character. And we, the readers, know how powerful Yomo can be. But Aura also impressed me a little bit in this chapter, and he actually used his detachable Kagane to actually lay a trap for Yomo, which I thought was very interesting to see. But because Yomo is so experienced, and this was completely awesome to see, him using his electric Kagane to form this barrier around him, kind of like a halo, protecting him from all of the debris, was really cool to see. And I was not expecting that skill to come from Yomo, because we have yet to see him actually make a barrier of electricity with his Kagane type, which it's so cool to see. And so I really enjoyed that. Mutsuki recognizes this and is like, okay, this guy's got experience. I don't have that type of experience, but what I do have is emotion. And this is where we come to my favorite page of this chapter, where we just see Mutsuki with the dialogue saying, with emotion, I will surpass experience. And everywhere on this page, we just have pictures and faces of Hajime Sasaki. And these are just absolutely hilarious. I got a good kick out of just seeing inside Mutsuki's mind of all the beautiful, happy faces of Hajime. And the best one by far is Hajime in the sun hat with sunflowers in the background. Just seeing his face, he just looks so content and happy, which we do not see Kaneki having that face all too often. So getting to see the inner workings of how Mutsuki still views Hajime Sasaki is really cool. But then for us, the audience, it's been a while since Hajime Sasaki, that persona, has been within the chapters of Tokyo Ghoul. So going back to all the way at the beginning of Tokyo Ghoul when Kaneki / Hajime was happy, content, and actually had a genuine smile on his face, I miss those days of early Tokyo Ghoul to where everything was a little bit lighter, it wasn't as dramatic, and it wasn't as, much suffering as it has been these last couple arcs. And just to see that again, it just reminds me of the good old days of the early Tokyo Ghoul chapters. So Mutsuki is basically using her twisted love to drive her forward in this fight with Yomo, and hopefully using that will help her overcome the experience that Yomo has over her in fighting combat. And we also get to see Mutsuki using different Quinque knives than what she is accustomed to using, but while she's juggling them in the air, she ends up talking to herself, and this emphasizes it even more. If you don't know that Mutsuki is crazy, she is talking to herself and saying, "Sensei, I've come for you." Nah, that won't do. So she is trying to come up with lines for the next time she actually sees Kaneki face to face. And while she's juggling this up, this part I absolutely hate, because we cut away from the fight and all we have is sound effects of what are emphasizing, constant slashes of these Quinque knives, and we won't know the outcome until the next chapter. I hate it when Ishida does this, but it does make me want to come back for the next chapter to figure out, did Yomo get out alive? What the hell happened after this cutaway between the Yomo and Mutsuki fight? But then what we move on to is the Zero Squad fight, which I am looking forward to, and I really enjoyed this part of the chapter as well, because it really gives character to the children of Zero Squad, and it kind of just goes to show that these aren't just, random characters. They have their own personalities, their own emotions, and I really do like what they demonstrate here in this chapter. But also, let's just talk about Ui for a minute, because Ui shows up here and his eyes are bugged out of his head. He has like the 1,000-yard stare, looks dead inside. He is deteriorating both physically and mentally. The fact that Hajime, Hirako, Haru, and Arima are either dead or have abandoned the CCG, you can tell that has taken a toll on his character. And the fact that he is basically a dog on a leash to Furuta, who's basically dangling Haru's head in front of him, basically saying, I can revive her if you basically follow my orders. And you can definitely tell that that weighs down Ui a lot. And you can just tell by the way that his face is drawn in this chapter, he is completely like sleep deprived. Like, who knows what is going on in his mind right now, because he is definitely conflicted. But what I like about this confrontation with Ui and Zero Squad, and also putting Hajime into the mix, is that all of these characters know each other and have some type of relationship that is built up. Hirako and Ui were both subordinates under Arima, so they have fought together. They were within CCG together, and the fact that one of them actually abandoned CCG and actually quit is heavily taking a toll on Ui. But then also with the rest of the Zero Squad children, they know Hajime because they trained and grew up together in the Sunlit Garden. So all these characters know each other in some shape or form, and the fact that they're fighting each other, they kind of know each other's fighting styles, so they kind of know how to, block, defend, and counterattack each other's moves. And that is demonstrated very well because Hirako and the rest of his members are able to take on Ui 1 against 4, and Ui is able to hold his own. That is impressive because I honestly thought it would just basically be Hirako against Ui and that would be it. But in that one panel that is drawn, it shows Ui basically, counterattacking and blocking all 4 members of Zero Squad. That right there is impressive of itself. But then as we move forward into the fight as the Zero Squad children, whose names I have written down right here, which are Rikei, Yuza, and Shio. These children definitely learned their names. I'm still trying to learn their names right now because they are completely awesome. And right now this fight demonstrates the different personalities that their characters have. And my favorite right now is definitely Shio, because when Shio ends up, blocking an attack and ends up dodging a Kagane attack from Hajime, he has this smile on his face, and then he ends up, using his hand to basically spring off the Kagane, scrapes up his knuckles a little bit, but then, lands down saying tada, but then crying as he's saying, kind of force that one as his knuckles and hand are bleeding. Him right now is definitely my favorite member out of these 3 new characters of Zero Squad, but I will just see as, more of these characters get developed, the more shine they get and the more personalities that we kind of come to learn about these 3 characters. But this fight, I am really looking forward to see where it goes and to see how Ui reacts, talking with Hirako, trying to get everything off of his chest and basically saying why did you abandon us at the CCG? So that is where we're left off with that fight. But the last thing about this chapter, it's very self-explanatory. A knife Quenke ends up piercing Touka's left shoulder, and we're left on this cliffhanger basically saying, who is this mysterious assassin that has basically confronted Touka, the children, Hinami, down in the underground? And just looking at the Quenke, the way that it's designed, I know who that belongs to. That is Suzuya. So the theory about, Suzuya going up against Touka looks like is about to be confirmed, and I just don't know what to think about it, because Suzuya, I love Suzuya. He is one of my favorite characters throughout this entire series, and Touka, I absolutely love. So the fact that these 2 characters that I love so much are about to most likely confront each other, and maybe one of them might die during this skirmish, I don't know how to feel about this. And right now, I'm kind of feeling like I don't really care right now whether or not Touka lives or dies, because I'm so fatigued out of just, being shocked and just trying to be like, Touka, please don't die. It's happened so many times right now to where I'm not sure if I can just care anymore. That's just me right now. I know a lot of people are still fearing for Touka, but when it comes to the point to where, let's say, Touka does in fact getting killed by Suzuya, if this is actually Suzuya that gets revealed in the next chapter, I don't think I'll be that shocked, because there's been so many death flags and so many points within this arc alone to where Touka had so many people gunning for her. I'm not going to be that surprised if it does turn out that either her or the baby ends up biting the dust here or there. I'll be sad, but I'm not going to be as shocked now, because I feel like it's been dragged on for so long right now that caring just doesn't really appeal to me anymore. I'm just yeah, okay, I get it. Touka's in danger. What else do you got for me? I want to move away from this and get into the new arc already, because I'm tired about caring and, fearing for Touka's life. That's just me. I don't know about you guys, but I will be really psyched. It will be very bittersweet once it is revealed if it is in fact Suzuya, but that is the cliffhanger we are basically left off on for this chapter, and I don't really know how I'm going to feel if it is in fact Suzuya that pops up next chapter. Anyway guys, it's gonna be it for this review. Again, I thought this was a very solid chapter. Didn't have any too big reveals like last chapter, everything involving Hide, but a very solid chapter that moved the plot forward for the underground, and I'm really glad we got to see more of these fights with all of these characters down in the underground. So definitely leave your thoughts, theories, and opinions about what you think is going to be happening within these next couple chapters of Tokyo Ghoul. And until chapter 140, I can't believe we're already on chapter 140 of Tokyo Ghoul Re. Time sure does fly, but until that chapter next weekend, I'll talk with you guys then. All right guys, see you later.